Hey there, and welcome to 5 Minutes of Therapy with me, Boone Christensen. Today I'm going to give a short demonstration that I give in a lot of sessions that helps us make treatment plans. It talks in simple terms where mental illness often comes from. I call this demonstration the brain and the bucket. So here we've got our brain and our bucket, and we'll start here with the bucket, which is our container of stress, every kind of stress that exists in our lives. The first category I'll talk about is the daily stress. Okay, what has already happened to us today that is causing us stress? Okay, what is already in the bucket today? And that daily stress is informed by our systemic stress. What things are going on in our lives right now? What are we guaranteed to wake up to in the morning? What is our government like? What is the economy like? What is our culture like? What is your family system like? Your relationships? How's your school going? How's your work going? Those are the kinds of things that contribute to systemic stress. And then there's every single thing that has ever made us afraid or stressed or angry in our entire lives. And all of that contributes to our traumatic stress. A lot of people say, what can't we just forget about the past? And that'd be really nice, but it's not a biological reality. Our brain remembers everything that ever happened to us, at least on an emotional level. And so that all goes into our traumatic stress. And those can be small stressors, like little fights, conflicts, mean words that were exchanged in our younger lives, all the way up to big things like assaults or car crashes or natural disasters. It all goes in to the bottom of the bucket and still affects us unless we process it. So we have these three kinds of stressors, and what is left is how much capacity, how much more stress we can take before we enter an anxious state of mind, before we enter our survival functions in our brain. So here we are. Let's move over to the brain now. We're going to divide it into three parts for therapy purposes. We've got our logical part, centered up here in the frontal cortex. We've got our fight or flight part, generally centered around the amygdala in the center of the brain. And then we've got our freeze part, which controls just basic bodily functions like your heart rate and your breathing. So as your stress, your total stress, approaches the edge, right? And our capacity gets pretty low, we start to get that on-edge feeling, right? That's where we start to enter that fight or flight state of either anxiety or anger. And then once our stress gets to the point where it has reached full capacity or even started flooding over, that's when we will enter the freeze state, which is our depressed state. When we are in a situation of lose-lose, like it seems like we will fail no matter what, like there's no escape, it is better for the body to freeze, to begin to lose motivation, to lose feeling, and become inert, to rest up until a point comes where we can actually do something about our issues. And so what we do in treatment planning is we look at how much traumatic stress is there. What are the things that you've never talked about? What are the memories that you can't face? And we learn how much of that we will have to drain out to make treatment effective. We look at the system. How's your relationship with your spouse right now? How is conflict resolution? Are there things that you need to patch up with your parents? Are there boundaries that you need to set at work or at school? Are there different skills that you need to learn to navigate your system? And then we look at the daily stressors. That's where we use coping skills. What can we do to minimize the amount of stress that you experience on a daily basis? And all those things added up together create our treatment plan and also inform how we're looking at progress throughout the rest of treatment. Are we moving out of freeze and depression into a state of more anxiety? And then are we moving from that into a state of calm and logic? So that's the brain in the bucket, and we'll be using it a lot throughout these videos. Thanks.